Good evening, National Baptist Convention, U.S. Inc. Welcome to this evening, NBCUSA Hope Health Webinar TempleCare Matters. Well, let's acknowledge our leaders, national leaders. Of course, Dr. Boise Kimber, our president, Dr. Michael O'Miner, National Director, U.S. NBC USA Liaison to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Service. This evening webinar overview and this evening TempleCare Matters webinar, we will have an extended discussion of men's health, health month, and share about June other suggest health observances. And let's not forget Father's Day. Yep. Even though it's Men's Month, do not forget Father's Day. So we're going to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Not only that, but Fireworks Safety Month through July 4th. This webinar is part of our continuous series of First Tuesday TempleCare Matters webinar. In each session, we delve deeper into the 7 pillars of TempleCare Matters. Now, it is time for our triple-demic update. Public health experts have warned for months that COVID-19, yes, COVID-19, virus isn't gone, and for warning, SARS-CoV-2 has mutated yet again into a new variant called NB.1.8.1. It causes a spike in infection in China. A few cases also recently appeared in the U.S. When people arriving at airport test positive, according to a statement from the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the World Health Organization has also designated as a variant under monitoring. Will the latest COVID-19 vaccine protect me? NB.1.8.1 is still part of the Omicron family, which means that current vaccines and immunity for recent infections should provide some protection against serious disease. How do I protect myself against this new variant? Vaccination can increase the chances that you avoid severe disease. Since this current vaccine still protects against virus related to NB.1.8.1, that's especially true for people at high risk of severe disease, including older people and those with weakened immune system. Getting vaccinated, we've been hearing that for the last 5 years. However, may become harder for other groups in a series of unusual moves. Again, U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced that the CDC will no longer recommend a yearly shot for healthy kids and pregnant women. The FDA recently said it will not recommend it for healthy adults until vaccines markers conduct additional studies to prove its safety and effectiveness in this population. Now, we will hear from our Hope Regional Coordinator's co-lead, Dr. Linda Copper. Come on down. She will provide us updates about our regional meetings. Welcome, Dr. Copper.
Well, thank you. Good evening and happy early Father's Day. Yes, our Hope Regional Conferences are starting to wrap up. We did have Northeast Region represented. Pastor Daniel Blackburn is our regional coordinator, and they had their regional conference on May 31st, where they highlighted sickle cell, diabetes, and kidney disease. and New York and Connecticut were well represented. And now we want you to mark your calendar for Saturday, June 14th, Southeast region. And that's Sister Brooklyn Rogers. She's the regional coordinator, and she is inviting all who will to join them as they join the South Miami Health Fair Symposium. And that's Saturday, June 14th. It is a Health Beach event, and it's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And all ages are welcome. There is no registration. Other organizations will actually be on site. So if you're in the region and want to join Sister Brooklyn, I'm sure she will be happy to see you. So that will wrap up our 2025 Hope Regional Conferences, but we want you to stay tuned because we will have Hope 2026 Regional Conference dates with more information forthcoming. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much, Dr. Linda Copper. I gotta say it so that her pastor do not get upset with her. Greater First Baptist Church, Houston, Texas, Dr. Rory Thompson. So we got that out the way. So we're good now. Go back to Houston. Let me say, Fireworks Safety Month continued through July the 4th. You know, we're saying fireworks, but when I was a child, it was firecrackers. Each year, thousands of people are injured while using consumers fireworks, not commercial or those that do the big fireworks, amen, at the parks and those things, but consumer fireworks. Despite the danger of fireworks, few people understand the associated risks, devastating burns, other injuries, fires, and worse. Supervised children closely are as sparkles seem like harmless fun for the kids, but they are responsible for about 1,400 eye injuries each year. Even tiny poppers or snappers can pose danger. Sparkles burn at, listen, 1,800 degrees and could easily cause severe burns and injury. Well, it's my time to turn this show over to my friend and my brother, our leader, Dr. Michael O. Minor. Here he comes.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Montgomery. Wow. He always brings all the energy to everywhere he goes. Who said nothing good can come out of Como, Mississippi? There you go. Good evening, everybody. Tonight, I'm representing not only our Hope Health Ministry, but I am so glad that the head of our Layman's Auxiliary, our brother Michael Washington, gave me a shirt and made me honorary layman. So tonight I'm wearing it, and I give a big shout out to all the wonderful laymen of our National Baptist Convention USA Incorporated. All right, now let's get ready for this month's special feature. I'm excited. We're going to have conduct a candid panel discussion about men's health. And of course, as Pastor Montgomery's already laid it out, it's coincided with Men's Health Month, Father's Day, all that good stuff. And we have a couple of great panelists, and we're going to pull Pastor Montgomery in a bit about some things he's doing. But we're so glad to have my friend, Pastor Dexter Moraney, and my colleague and church member, Brother Clarence Campbell, joining us. They're going to come on camera here now so that I can say a few things about them. Pastor Moraney is the pastor of the St. Luke Baptist Church in Covington, Tennessee. Under his leadership for over 36 years, the church membership and ministries have experienced growth like no other period in its history. He led the effort to rebuild the church after devastating fire in 1990, and they constructed and dedicated a community resource center that's doing a lot of great work in that area, and it expanded the ministries, getting the men involved there in the work they're doing. Matter of fact, they were so loved their pastor, they named the center after him in November 2021. He is currently working on his doctorate at Union Theological Seminary. Pastor Dexter Moraney. Amen. All right. Brother Campbell. Brother Campbell is a certified navigator and training coordinator for Oak Hill Regional Community Development Corporation, this Affordable Care Act grant. He coordinates the training curriculum for Oak Hill's 70-plus navigators that cover the entire state of Mississippi. He's also a contributor to monthly webinars for Oak Hill and an active member of the Healing Hernando Baptist Church. And of course, I would go remiss by not saying he is a very proud Michigan fan, whatever it is. So welcome, Brother Campbell and Pastor Moraney. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. All right. Well, we're gonna begin with Pastor Moraney. All right. So Pastor Moraney, welcome again, and I am so glad you had a chance to join us on this evening. And of course, a big shout out to your wonderful wife, Sister Rita, and look, allowing you to miss out some quality time with her. So shout out. But you know something, during the pandemic, you and your wife endured an unimaginable loss. Your son, Brian, made his transition to be with the Lord. Would you mind sharing about what happened?
Of course, and good evening to everyone, and I'm grateful to be here tonight and thankful to Pastor Mana and Pastor Montgomery for asking me to come and share on this panel tonight. It was bittersweet whether I wanted to do it or not, but I thought I said I need to do it. It is also part of a healing process. What happened in August the 2021, my son was an educator in Nashville and had been an educator for about 15 years out of college. So he started teaching school, I started coaching, won championships, trophies, all this as part of his life. So that particular morning, he got up to go to work as normal and had a massive heart attack. Found him at the side of the bed. At that time, normally my wife had gone there and that she was there to visit the grandchildren. But normally we always live with him. But that particular night, the grandchild asked her to stay with them. So she found him there the next morning because it's unusual for him not to call, not to come by, and things like that. But so she found him there that morning. Very devastating, very painful. Even today, it is still painful to have to deal with that. But it's a process that we have both gone through a process with counseling and all, but it's healing as we go forth. So that was very devastating pain. And then it was in the pandemic where you couldn't get close to each other and those things like that. But we were able to manage between all of that because he had well, I'll let you go on.
All right. Well, you look, the thing that gets me about all this, and I know as a pastor, we all can relate to this. I know even in the pandemic, you had plenty of comment. I went to the layout, and there's a lot of people there going in and out, even in the pandemic, all masked up. He had a lot of support, up until through the funeral. But how was it afterwards? The days and weeks afterwards, how was the support? How did you two cope in the time after the funeral?
Well, it was very, very difficult because of the fact you couldn't gather. So much so, even though we had strong support, I probably did. I don't want to do it again for certain, but by him living in Nashville for about 20 years of his life mostly was Nashville. So I did have a service there, and I should have ended it. I knew I was going to bring him back to bury him here, but it was overflowing in Nashville, white, black, I mean, everywhere, all over the place. And because that was his life, that was his life, basketball, AU, doing all this kind of stuff. And those kids they were torn apart. Those young men, young ladies, they were torn apart because he had instilled something in them, and he had began to see kids go to college, and he would go to their colleges to just to greet them their first semester there. So they came from every place you can imagine just to come back because of the impact he had on their life. So it's been a challenging a time afterwards. Had good support for his church. They tried to not let me do anything. They didn't. They picked us up. They took us to Nashville back and forth. They made sure we had food everywhere. They did it all. I'll be honest, they did it everything I could imagine. I'm an independent person. I like to do my own stuff. So it took a lot of me out of me to get back out the way. They forced it. And they had a couple of guys, they had demanded them. They said they don't care what he say, you gonna do it. And you better not come back here with a dime. You're gonna take care of him while he's in Nashville. So that was and that helped us. That really helped us. That love that was there, that support, that family support. The funeral was challenging because as someone had to put that, I'm the leader of my house, so I had to put that on my shoulder and plan this funeral, do all of this stuff. She was there to assist, but it was tough on her. You got to understand, she found him there. That was her firstborn child. So you can imagine how she even feels today, how difficult this thing has caused us. And even my other son, I have two sons, and both of my sons are born on the same day, and their birthday June 16th is coming up. So both of them, and my youngest son, S, to this day, you never get him to talk about it. He, as 5 years in, he does not communicate it. They were close. I mean, close as peanut butter and jelly. I mean they were tight. He moved out of Nashville so because he couldn't deal with the environment because that's where they lived around each other. So he moved to Clarksville, brought him home there, sold his in Nashville. So I can't do it. So, but one thing he's told me, he said, I will always celebrate his birthday, but I will never celebrate his death day.
Wow.
That is something even today. Now, my son buried there here in Memphis in Memorial Park. I have never been to the grave in 5 years. We have never been. I don't know. I've tried it. I've gone in to the cemetery, got out one Saturday to go over there, and I had to get back in my truck. I couldn't do it.
Mm.
And I would go through. It may seem crazy, sound crazy. I would go through the cemetery. I would go to the barbershop on Saturday. So I would go through every Saturday, just go through it. I wouldn't get out, just go through it.
Right.
Just so the process is still going forth. And I'll say this: deep love have deep grief.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Wow. It's just moving. Look, can I just want to get spiritual for a minute here on this. Now, look, I'm a pastor, you're a pastor, and I know
Mm-hmm.
we preach about it and talk about every trial our faith is strengthened.
Yeah,
All right. So now we preach that, we say that you've done eulogies. Do you feel like your faith's been strengthened throughout this process?
most definitely. I think I am um, a stronger a pastor and servant because of that storm.
Okay.
We can always preach a sermon uh, downward to people that are grieving, but until you sit in that seat, uh, my title means nothing. Me being a pastor, it didn't stop it. That didn't stop it. Him being saved, him going to church, him being a tithe, all these are committed. And then you think you say, man, I got some good guys. These two guys excuse me, these were good guys. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, committed to what they were doing, and he took him away. And you get starts thinking, why him? I said a lot of nuts out there he could have took. If he had to vote my vote, I could have voted about 10 before he got him,
Mm.
or me. I would have taken the thing of leaving before him at 39 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But I live a good life. I've been successful in life. So let him live his. But that wasn't the will of God. So I am stronger because our deal is, we all preach this sermon, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes
Mm-hmm.
in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I learned, Amanda, in that transition of that context is weeping has to come to an end before joy starts.
Oh wow. Wow.
It has to come to an end before joy. Do I cry some? Man, yeah. But I keep going because I got a purpose of trying to help and heal other people.
Okay.
because since then there have been numerous people we've had to administer to because they lost their child. I mean, just ironic, just different children, men and boys. All right.
Wow. Whew. You know what? What can you say to a parent that's lost a child? I mean, what I mean, you can say because every parent's desire is for to outlive their children. What can you? And it's something that's watching now. And one thing, wonderful thing about this is going to be up on our YouTube video as well. What can you tell them if you lost a child?
To you will get through the process, and I will tell them it is a process. You're not going to jump in right back into where you were. It is a process, and you'll get through it. And matter of fact, I'm a living witness. You'll get through it. Will you get over it? No. Will I forget it? Absolutely not. But the process is slow. I'm telling you, the process is slow. And I have this vehicle now. Uh, and when he bought the car, my son was 6'4". Both my sons are 6'4". So both of them are taller than me. He was thicker than both of us. But I never forget he was going to get a car. I was sick of him in the car he was in, but I didn't want to help him pay no note on it. So he needed a car.
Right.
But I said, boy, so finally one day I got off from horse. I said, look, boy, meet me at Honda. You getting
Okay.
out of that car. You meet me over there. And
Oh,
it blew his mind. I said, I'm gonna help you get it. But he got in 6'4", he gets in a Civic, CVR, whatever. I said, boy, get out of there. I said, get out of there. Go over there and get one of them big trucks over there. You too big here. And it blew his mind. I said, listen, you're gonna pay for it. That car is good for 300,000 miles. I'm driving that car today.
mm,
I was going to sell it because I wanted to kind of move, memorize, but I couldn't do it because this is still a good vehicle. So I got 200 some thousand miles on it now, and it still runs perfect. So I'm saying is you get through the process. I tell them, and you're gonna laugh some. You're
mhm,
gonna have some moments that we laugh about and say, this boy was crazy. We did some crazy stuff.
mm.
I had to get him out of stuff. I said, well, what you doing with your money? Write his budget up. But those things we start laughing about, and that helps you get through it. So I've had several in my church, I'm serious, have lost their daughter and their son. But then they say what has helped us is we see you all.
Mm,
We see you all. And
mm.
you all have helped us get through this pain. And I think that's why we're here. That's it. Why we're here. We're here to help them get through it. A good preacher he can be a good orator, he can be a good hooper, whatever you want. But when you go through something like this, it
Mm,
rearranges your life
mm,
and it rearranges your ministry. And
mm.
you thought you was a caring pastor. You
Okay. All right.
days. I'm not gonna do that. I
I
am not gonna do that. But
wow.
they my friend. The only reason I did because y'all my friend. I said, I am not going to do that. I talk about it all the time. And then another thing that helped me up was the pulpit. I was able to get back to the pulpit. I stayed away from church for a period of time. I stayed away. And they didn't want me to come back. We both stayed away. She stayed a little bit longer. I eased back up, and the preaching helped me get back going.
Wow.
I had to get back. It got me back into it. Got me back into it. I was able to tell my story from the pulpit. And the painful as it was, I was able to do it. And they knew I was preaching in pain,
Mm,
but it helped me in the process.
wow.
And the healing is still going on today.
Wow. Well, look, before you leave, I know it's some things you've been doing. Um, wow. It's some things you've been doing in memory of your son.
Yeah,
Um, and I know, look, here we're grown men with tears in our eyes. Hey, it's
yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
Is this thing to do with your son? You want before we go on to our next segment, you want to say something about
Yes,
the
yes.
little
I'm glad you
project?
brought it here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. I named he was an educator, and he was always about kids getting an education. So I established that was part of my healing process. I had to do something. So I established at Brian's way, because that's how we looked at him. He had it his way. He don't care about nobody else's way. It was my way or nothing. So we call it Brian's Way Foundation, and I give scholarships every year to high school students in his behalf. That helped me keep him alive, keep his thought of what he was all about alive. So um, I do that every year. We give scholarships, and the first two we gave was one to one boy at the University of Alabama, and one went to the University of Memphis. And we blessed both of those boys because both of those boys played basketball for him, and
Mm.
we made sure they got scholarships, and they've done well since then. So now we do it every year in May. Whenever we give it in our church, we give a scholarship to a deserving. They have to fill out stuff to do it, but this
Hmm.
is how we don't just hand it to them.
Right, right.
You got to be able to know you're going in some direction before I do it.
All right. All right, well, thank you, Brother Dexter. Look, we're gonna go into our next little segment.
Uh-huh.
Pastor Moraine's gonna hang around toward the end in case of
Oh
different
yeah.
questions and whatnot, everything. But certainly, we have definitely been moved tonight about him sharing. I know it was difficult for him, but I'm glad he's my friend to do that. He's helped me tonight.
Mhm.
So, well, thank you. All right, we're gonna go on now to. Thanks again, Pastor Moraine. We're gonna go now to
Thank you.
Pastor Montgomery. Pastor Montgomery. And you know it's a trend here, all these M's, Minor, Montgomery, Moraney. Just want to throw a hint out there how you can join the club. Okay. Uh Now, Pastor Montgomery, I understand that you're working on a pilot project about one type of chronic disease that really hampers black men.
Yes, that's true, Dr. Monty. We're working on a pilot uh, program, type 2 diabetes. And in the pilot, there are 15 attendees that we're currently working on now. I've already received a call to get 15 more attendees just for virtual setting. So how does that type 2 diabetes, how does that now tie into Men's Month, health care for men? Dr. Monty, out of those 15 attendees or participants that I have, got two deacons, two pastors, one minister, and one layperson. But what's unique about the layman is the fact that his wife heard about this pilot. She called me and said, my husband will be in there because he's type 2 diabetes. He
Wow.
tried to bail out because he's a farmer. So therefore, the farmer has to be in the field doing things this time of the month. She says, on Thursday night, I would have him in front of this computer. So it's important that women get involved and tell men what they should do. This is a 6-week research. Is hybrid. So certainly we are some people at the church and some are at home. But in the next session, all of it would be virtual because they're trying to get to where that they got so much things that now you can do on the internet without going in. So the next step is try to get this type 2 diabetes management and some of the care and provision, some of the educational components from Zoom as well. Also, one of the things that we realize that there's a lack of support group among men in this type 2 diabetes.
Hmm.
And we had a discussion about that and to include because in the unique again when you got two deacons at the same church, you got pastors and preachers, we run in that circle. So there's a support group if we would just talk about it. And then that support group, we make sure that you understand daily activities for us, exercise and certain your diet, and often check with your physician anything that you should do.
All right. Well, let me ask this. Now, I know some of them, you talked about it, they're reconsidering some of their health choices. Can you give us some specifics of some of the change choices that they've undertaken?
Yes, because of the issues that type 2 diabetes would affect other organs of the body.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the I often ask questions when we're doing these type of things. What is the best possible health that you could have now by applying what's recommended for you to do at your age, at your condition, and then you must set some short-term goals for
Mm,
yourself.
mm,
And you have to admit and accept where you are and don't compare yourself to anyone else. Only you can make yourself better, and you're the best
mm.
frontline care person for yourself.
Well, let me ask you this question. Um, what would you say to some of the men who watching this evening and watching later? What would you say to them about making some better health choices?
Self-examination. What can I do to improve my health from where I'm at now? And again, set some short-term goals. I mean, we can reminisce, but until you actually apply what is needed to better your health, then just the mindset has no effect of the outcome.
All right. Well, this is all part of Dr. Kimber, his whole campaign of how we can do different pilots and stuff to take ministry, bring our national ministry local. Um, do you think this is a good example of this effort and how we can do this? And does it have the possibility to expand across the country?
Sure, we again, as you mentioned earlier, Dr. Miner, this is a pilot, and there's 12 locations across the country in different regions that is doing this. We are blessed to be at the Bluff Spring Missionary Baptist Church in Sardis, Mississippi, as one of the locations. So we're making all the effort that we can to try to meet the goals and objectives that has been set before, so that we can go farther with this, not only in those 12 locations, but hopefully and prayerfully across the country with Hope, along with the National Baptist Convention USA, Inc.
All right, well, Pastor Montgomery, is there anything else you want to share before we move on?
Well, what I would say, Dr. Minor, men, let's man up with
Uh-oh.
our health.
Uh-oh.
We want to be macho and
Man
strength
up.
and fat up, but let's man up with our
Man
health.
up.
Uh,
Whoa.
Schedule all
Man up.
needed appointments. Okay. Also, go and do your follow-ups with your doctor
Go to the
and talk to
doctor.
your health providers,
Wow.
your physician, and those
Go
things.
to the
In other
doctor.
words, take care of yourself. Just man up when it comes to your health. And I understand, and there are some herbs, there's some natural remedies that can be taken, but check with your physician before you get involved in this cross the counters and all this salve and ointments and juice and those type of things. Check with your healthcare provider. Each region for as National Baptist has a coordinator can get you involved in our Hope Health Ambassadors training curriculum.
So they can man up.
Man up in your health, Dr. Mike.
Wow. Y'all, I want to make sure you heard it first tonight that Pastor Montgomery is encouraging all us men folk to man up. All right. Thank you, Pastor Montgomery, for sharing with us on the night. All right, now we go to our third panelist. Boy, I tell you, these panelists have been on fire. What a great session thus far. Now we come to our Wolverine in the house, Brother Campbell. Welcome again, Brother Campbell.
Thank you.
Um, what can I say? We've heard the old saying that age ain't nothing but a number. Yet when it comes to men's health, is that saying really true, Brother Campbell?
Is this really true? Is age nothing but a number? And for those of us and you out there, the audience as well, that listen to top 40 radio songs about 20 years ago, the late artist Aaliyah had this song out, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. And I don't really think we want to talk about the lyrics in this particular discussion, but I do want to talk about the phrase age ain't nothing but a number. Because it's talking about what really appropriate for men to do or not do at a certain age. So tonight we're going to talk about temple care, our bodies, our temples, and caring for how to care for our temples, how to make sure that our temples grow old gracefully, and then our temples get to be nice old stately temples when we're no longer needing them. So I've got some information that I found, and it just happens to come from a doctor in Michigan, a hospital in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
These are suggestions from Henry Ford Health. Yes, that Henry Ford. Henry Ford was
Wow. Wow.
uh,
And so I
Ford,
should know because I'm from
Ford
Michigan, but keep going.
yeah,
Okay.
you gotta go. Ford Motor Company, or as they would say in Detroit. I'm not from Detroit, I'm from Flint, but in Detroit, it wasn't Ford factory, it was always Ford's. In other words, you worked for the Fords when you
Uh,
worked at Ford factory.
uh,
And Ford also built some hospitals. He did quite a few things. Okay, so back in November 18th of last year, 2024, this information was posted under Men's Health. It says advice for each stage of life, and it was reviewed by Dr. Ali Dabaja, MD, a neurologist who sees patients at Henry Ford Medical Center in Dearborn, Michigan, and at
mhm.
the Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. So this article says, and I'm going to read some of it verbatim, it says, avoiding aging is an impossible feat. The goal instead is to embrace getting older while taking steps to stay at the top of your game, physically and mentally. While
Mhm.
people may know that women go through changes as they age, there's less discussion about what men experience in their latter years. We talk about menopause and women, but men experience changes too, explains Dr. Dabajian, who is also a neurologist and a men's health expert at Henry Ford Health. From youth all the way up to older adulthood, men undergo functional changes and changes in appearance. Here, Dr. Dabaja shares changes men should expect throughout their lives and how they can be proactive about their health. So now for some of us, we're going to be looking way, way back. We may be able to remember when we were in our teens or 20s, or we
Uh-oh.
may not.
Teens.
So when I hit these numbers, these are for folks that might have children or associates in that particular age group, not necessarily
Grandchildren.
for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think most of us can remember a little bit about our teens.
Mm-hmm.
So for a minute in their teens, the teen years are a period of tremendous growth and development. Most growth happens during the teen years, but some men can continue growing and developing into their 20s. Men grow at different rates based off of their genetics and other factors, Dr. DeBonge says. What to do? Okay, so if you're a parent, talk to your kids and make sure they're comfortable with their bodies and the changes that they're experiencing.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you said something about that. And I think it's important. I know sons are closer to moms, but we need to have the dads to talk. And I know we have a lot of single mom households, but I just want a clarion call. And I hate to interrupt on this, but as a clarion call,
Okay.
those that are watching now are watching later, that we can make sure there's some men in these young men's lives, and not only talk about, I'm not gonna talk about the birds and the bees and all this other type of stuff and everything, but talk about the health. And I would suffice to say that a lot of our young men ended up dying young because of violence. So, but we want to make
Mhm.
sure we have those conversations. I'm glad you brought that up. So,
Right. And then too, when we're talking about discussions that men can have with younger men, upcoming men, it's not just about, as you say, the birds and the bees, or as my daughter would say, about sex, but it's also about things such as clean fingernails, putting on deodorant, taking a shower regularly, don't put on too much cologne, these sort of things.
mhm. Yeah.
So, and there's different programs that we can probably find out there, or to help maybe to help match up some of these young men that are with single mothers with older grandparent type men, so we can help them through these turbulent teens.
Okay.
Okay, so men in their 20s, we get through our teens, then the 20s come around. Okay, if you go to college, you've got college exams or college entrance exams that you have to worry about. You have work demands, and sometimes we're going to have people, men that are trying to balance between going to college and working at the same time, plus maintaining an active social calendar. And so while we're trying to do all this back in those times, it can be a little bit difficult maintaining healthy habits during your 20s. I remember once my dear mother told me, I think she said, son, you can't burn the candle at both ends. And so I kind of took to heart. So instead of eating a healthy diet and adopting a fixed workout regimen, these young men may find themselves indulging in late nights, fat-laden, convenient foods, and too much beer or other tasty beverages, too many Red Bull, energy drink, vitamin drinks, and things such as that that don't replace healthy meals. Then to add insult to injury, the brain doesn't reach full maturity until mid-20s. This means that young men are likely to engage in risky behavior such as drinking and driving and other stupid things that we all did. And the good Lord saw us through them. So what to do for men in their 20s, adopt healthy habits now so that you'll carry them into middle adulthood and beyond. And to prevent substance abuse, or take steps rather to prevent substance abuse, accidents, and sexually transmitted diseases that could have long-lasting effects. You get appropriate screenings from your physician. You may also want to establish baseline markers such as blood pressure, diabetes, and thyroid disease.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. You talk about that. I ended up with thyroid disease early on, didn't know it, and some other things. But I was smart enough to go to the doctor, and I found a lot of my mom was always on me about make sure to go to the doctor. It's amazing how in your 20s, a lot of things that may have been a chronic disease, we'll find out in your 20s, and it will go with you the rest of your lifetime. But if you didn't find out about it early on, you might not you might not have a lifetime. But Brother
Sure.
Campbell,
And
thing that
if
really
you
gets me.
find out about these things at an early age, a lot of times uh, the impact that it has on your health and well-being won't be as
Exactly.
difficult as if you wait until your 30s or late 40s to start trying to treat these diseases.
Well, look, I want to share that in right quick though. I'm concerned about that Red Bull. Somebody gives you wings. You know what I think about that giving you wings?
Yeah.
Even angel wings, maybe because I just can't believe you're gonna keep like all that caffeine is supposed to be sipped like the coffee, and you drink a straight shot. I just can't believe that if you start in your teens and 20s drinking all that Red Bull, that by the time you get up to my age or your age, it don't have any problems in your heart. But anyway, go on. I'm digressing.
Well,
Go on,
and
you.
if it's not bad enough just drinking straight Red Bull, it's also kind of a cult drink to take your Red Bull and enhance it a little bit.
That's true. Oh, help us. All right, go ahead.
Okay,
And it's shut down. Go
we're
ahead.
not
Go ahead.
gonna
Go
linger there
ahead.
too long. All right, men in their 30s and 40s. Practicing self-care is critical during this time, especially when it comes to stress. It's not uncommon for men in this age group to burn the candle at both ends, as
Right.
Mom mentioned, in an attempt to stay on top of work and family demands.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, that strategy can backfire. Not only do you suffer from too little sleep, but your body may undergo changes that make taking care of yourself even more important. Then in your 30s and your 40s, your metabolism slows, says Dr. DeBaja. So even if you're eating the same amount of food, you're likely to gain more weight.
Wow.
So what to do if you're still in your 30s or 40s, or yeah, your man is in his 30s and 40s? Help them commit to taking care of themselves,
Okay.
eating a healthy diet, getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, working out 4 to 5 times a week, then get screened for diabetes, thyroid disease, and cardiovascular risk factors, including cholesterol levels and blood pressure.
Look, I got to tell you something about that. I talked to a person who played basketball, and they eat a lot of carbs. You know, because they're a basketball player.
Mhm.
They played through college, a little, not to the NBA, but some other pro leagues. And when they stopped playing, they didn't slow down their eating habits. And so we ended up having, they got big as a house and whatnot. So that's how, because she wasn't working it off. So that's something to think about. Big as a
I think that happens quite often with these athletes that are used to consuming all these calories and carbs, and then they drop that level of activity,
Okay.
and their body balloons on them.
Yeah, balloon. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so now getting closer to home for some of us, maybe
Uh-huh.
men in their 50s. After age 50, testosterone levels begin to dip, which causes changes in the way fat is distributed.
Uh-huh.
Men may notice extra weight developing around their midsection. Let's sometimes call that the spare tire. Might start to inflate a little bit. We may find ourselves with less hair on our heads, more hair in our
Oh,
noses and ears. Estrogen estradiol levels may also rise at the same time, causing changes in breast tissue and loss of muscle mass. We may also experience dips in sexual desire and function. So when you're aware that these changes are coming, it's less alarming when they happen. And of course, we all know there's plenty of commercials out there about ageless men
I know.
and whatnot, but not
Ageless.
recommending, endorsing anything. Be aware they're coming. There's things that you can do about it. Talk with your doctor.
Okay.
But what uh, Dr. Abijah says is focus on brain and heart health.
Health,
If you're a
brain.
smoker, yeah, well, it says here get screened for lung cancer, but I'd say if you're a smoker, quit and also get screened for lung cancer. And if you can't quit, well, just try. Just lessen the amount of smoking that you're doing at any rate. If you're alarmed by changes in sexual function, seek help from a physician. There are a variety of treatments you should be able to enjoy to help you have a healthy sex life well into your golden years. Then get back to basics. Take steps to prevent falls and accidents in and around your home, and get your eyes checked too. Make sure that you'll have the appropriate prescription. And work out to maintain your strength and balance. Also, continue screening exams, including screenings for colon cancer and prostate cancer.
Oh, prostate cancer. Wow. Speaking of that, we just heard about, former President Joe Biden. I mean, this guy, the President of the United States, he went in for all these checkups and stuff. He's got a cancer diagnosis. He's got, all this for prostate. Now, what do older men, in light of what happened, his situation, should older men do? What are your thoughts about this?
Okay, so a little bit more about President Biden's diagnosis. He was found to have what's called level 4 prostate cancer, and there's something called a Gleason score. And his Gleason score was a Gleason score of 9, which is considered very aggressive. The Gleason scores that you might get can run from 6 to 7 to 8, and when it's 9, it's pretty serious. The Gleason score of 9 means that this cancer has metastasized or spread from the prostate gland itself into his bones. While it still remains localized in the prostate gland itself, it's a lot easier to treat, and it can even sometimes be considered curable by various means. But I'm not a medical professional. I'm not going to talk about
Right.
how
Right.
it's cured, anything like that.
Wow.
But for men, all men, as you get into your 50s, 60s, find a urologist,
Okay.
an expert who can provide more information about specific urologic conditions. As we get older, you might notice that pregnant women and old men are always gonna make sure that they know exactly where the restrooms are.
Oh, okay. I was gonna figure you could put that
I
together.
wonder where I was
Okay.
going with that. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, one of the things that older men are going to get, it's called BPH,
Yeah.
benign prostate hyperplasia, or enlarged
Uh-huh.
prostate gland. And one of the things that causes you to do is you got to go pee quite often. So,
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and also, this is something that your urologist can help you with. And then while the urologist is helping you with that, if you happen to have that particular condition, or even if you don't have that particular condition, if you're 55 through 69 years old, have the test talk to your provider to learn about the pros and cons of having PSA, which stands
Okay.
for prostate specific antigen blood test. For men that age, it's something that should be pretty routine.
Okay.
Um, and then also discuss whether or not this screening decreases your chance of dying from prostate cancer, whether or not there's any harm from prostate cancer screening, such as side effects from testing or over treating when
Right.
cancer is developed, or whether you have a higher risk of prostate cancer than others. Black men, unfortunately, there we are again.
Uh-oh. Black man.
There we are again. But this article goes on to say if you're age 55 or younger, screening is generally not recommended, but you should talk with your provider about if you have a prior risk. Risk factors include having a history of prostate cancer, for example, a brother, father, grandfather who were diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Right. So you want
And then
to
again, being
right.
African American, if you choose to be tested, the PSA test is repeated over time, yearly or less often, though the best frequency is not known. Prostate physical examinations are no longer routinely done on men with no symptoms. And the good old finger wave, as it's the digital
Okay.
exam.
Yeah. 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 Wow. Well, you presented a lot of information. And I know we kind of laughed about a little something, but it's been very good, useful information. Good. And I like how you went through me and Sarah through life stages. Um, is there anything else that you want to just share before we wrap up this and go on to our next section?
Okay, first, I would like to hit right back with prostate cancer screening again. And just remember, just because it's not necessarily recommended doesn't mean that it isn't something that you can't ask for on a yearly basis. You ask for this on your urologist can check your PSA on a yearly basis. If he sees any drastic change in it, even though the number itself may not in itself be high, if
Okay.
it's happens to be, let's say, 3 or 4 times higher than the previous year, then it could be a sign that something is going on. So prostate examinations, cancer examinations are something that's covered with most medical plans at no cost to you. So go ahead and get it done. They're drawing blood from you anyway. Tell them to get an extra test tube full and test for that. And then I'd also like to talk about a specific group of men. These are men that are in their, let's say, run from their 70s to maybe the mid 80s.
Okay.
And these are men who served in the United States military in Southeast Asia during the Vietnam War. From starting 1965 or something like that, there was a herbicide, a defoliant called Agent Orange that was used over there. This herbicide, Agent Orange, is known to be associated with 14 different diseases that are considered presumptive exposure diseases with the Veterans Administration.
Okay.
So if you are a man of that age and you served in country, either in the Republic of Vietnam, Cambodia, or Thailand, or if you've got, let's say, maybe an uncle, a father.
All right, there you go. I'm waiting for it to come.
You know what's coming? Uncle, your father, your brother, an associate. If you see somebody running around with a hat that says Vietnam War veteran, that has that red, yellow, and green rectangle or ribbon on it, then they probably qualify for assistance through what's known as the PACT Act. The PACT Act is a program that was signed by President, I'll just say the Biden-Harris administration,
Okay.
that provides special assistance to those veterans that served in Vietnam or the surrounding areas in Southeast Asia and during that time, and helps provide additional health care screening and treatment to them if they're found to have any of the 14 diseases that are associated with exposure to Agent Orange.
Okay. All right. So if you're a veteran, you need to check it out. And if you don't think you qualify, try anyhow. It doesn't hurt.
If you don't think you qualify, let them tell you don't.
Let them tell you.
Let the VA tell you. Don't let someone else tell you don't qualify.
And if you serve one day on active duty, you are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your service, Brother Clarence.
Oh, my pleasure. You're welcome.
All right. Woo! All right. We had a great discussion about men's health. And we'll get some questions about Q&A. Wait, one question here. Says that does that mean that science should review the prostate screening? Again, we're not the doctors, but what we are saying is that you have to sometimes be your own advocate. And what happened to President Biden is a wake-up call for older men is to get checked out. I am not at that age yet. I'm getting close. I hope that I can get there and past that. But I always make sure that they do my annual checkup. They check my PSA levels. There was a couple of times that was a little bit elevated, and I wanted to make sure there's some follow-up and everything was fine. I had no problem with that. So, but I always have asked that. I think I've done that since I was 40. I've asked for make sure that's part of my screening. Just because they say you don't need it, again, you can be your own advocate and say, well, I may not need it, but I want it, and get that taken care of. Okay, so we have more questions we feel during the Q&A section. Now we won't have a webinar next month, which July is a month off. So I'm bringing Pastor Montgomery back now. He'll share about July's health services and our upcoming events.
Dr. Minor, thank
Pastor
you.
Montgomery.
Thank you, Dr. Minor. July is Health Vision Month, and we will conclude Fireworks Safety Month on July the 4th. Actually, in the next couple of months, I will be having cataract surgery. So I'm looking for better vision as we go forward in the next 2 or 3 months. We want to encourage everyone to join us in my city, Montgomery, in less than 2 weeks, June 16th through the 20th, 2025, for the NBCUSA Congress of Christian Education. As we have done for the past 21 years, we'll be hosting our NBCUSA H.O.P.E Fair Stop by our health fair to learn more about the great work your NBCUSA team is doing. We remind everyone of our self-paced health ambassador training. To receive credit towards health ambassador certification. Number one, email us info@hopenbc.com. Again, email us info@hopenbc.com to register. Request a copy of the lesson training guide and complete the training survey that will be there at hope.nbc. My bad, hopenbc.com/training/survey. Including the email, suggested line NBC USA Hope Health Ambassador Training. Let's not forget all our June, amen, suggestion of health observance and wellness, Men Health Month, and Fireworks Safety Month. You may download the complete list of annual observance for our website, www.hopenbc.com, for additional information and resources on our NBC USA Hope webpage, www.hopenbc.com. Email information again, info@hopenbc.com. We've covered much this evening, but the best part is coming now. We want to hear from you. Let me say it again. We want to hear from you. It's time for our Q&A period. You may type in the chat or raise your virtual hand. For those watching on social media, Dr. Copper will be monitoring the Facebook page for comments. We'll do our best to capture your question. Dr. Minor, our fine, great leader, will lead us in our Q&A period. Dr. Minor is in your hand again.
All right, thank you, Pastor Montgomery. And look, I'd have each one of you all, Pastor Moraney and Brother Clarence, Pastor Montgomery, you all can come on camera and unmute, and we'll all field questions together. Out of fact, the first question is for Pastor Moraney. The question for you, Pastor Moraney, said, were there any particular scriptures? And then we'll come, I said, we got a hand up, and we'll come to Reverend Nickerson in a second. But they asked, were there any particular scriptures that you found helpful as you're going through the mourning of your son?
Yeah, I'll put it in there in a second. One is that I really embraced was 2 Corinthians chapter 5, what Paul shares with the church at Corinth about this temple that we are in, that we will end up with a new body. And once this one has been dissolved, God gives us a new body, and that helped me a lot to know also that I will see him again. And that gave me a lot, because all of us are living in tents, and eventually one day this tent peg's going to be pulled from under us. And that is one main scripture that I certainly embrace as I have gone through this. And the other was Psalms 30:5, where we definitely deal with weeping part, but that's why I learned that the weeping season has to stop before the joy season comes. And it's not end, but it stops. It slows the process down, but it's still the joy does come. It does come.
Okay. All right, we're gonna allow Reverend Jerome Nickerson to come up. Just unmute your mic. Unmute your mic and ask your question, Reverend Nickerson.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. First of all, I'm glad that these three gentlemen have been on tonight, because my experience with the loss of a loved one happened to be with my dad. I had just been called to my first church in the third Sunday of July in 1977, and he died in August the 8th, 1977.
Mm-hmm.
And so to understand the relationship between me and my father, he was my father. He wouldn't let me look at him as a friend because his philosophy was you're going to have many, many friends in your life, but you get one father.
One father. Yeah.
All right. And so even now today, after 40 some years,
Mm-hmm.
I still have moments of crying. I have good memories. Don't get me wrong, but his passing was
Mm.
at a crucial time in my ministry. I'd
Okay.
never pastored before. He was a preacher. My grandfather was a pastor preacher. I had uncles that were pastor preachers, but the fact that I was blessed to I was given this opportunity. I saw all kinds of possibilities for my father and I in the ministry. So I just wanted to share that. The second thing is, as a veteran, and I'm now 100% disabled permanently and totally. But March the 29th, I experienced an accident. I was rear-ended by a driver traveling 80 miles an hour, according to his digital speedometer. It locked in on 80 miles an hour. So I went to the doctor. They ordered tests on my back, my neck, and my shoulder. And it turns out that they found some growth on my thyroids.
Wow.
They also found an aortic, something with my abdomen and the aorta. But here's the thing.
Huh?
I suffered two heart attacks last year. I think, Dr. Minor, you remember.
Right. Right.
And I had triple bypass surgery. Well, let me start from the beginning. February the 6th, I had total hip replacement surgery.
What?
February the 8th, I had a heart attack in the hospital. February the 12th, I had triple bypass surgery. 5 months later, I suffered another heart attack because the grafts from the first ones didn't take.
Okay.
I'm saying all this to say that while the care I received, I think, was excellent,
Okay.
I'm wondering how during the preliminary surgical preparation that this did not show up in a blood test. It did not show up at that time in x-rays. And I'm going regularly for my checkups. So it took that accident to bring to light these underlying issues. I had 99% blockage, and they don't know how long I know I'm kind of rambling, but I had 99% blockage, and they don't know for how long. Keep in mind, I'm preaching, I'm teaching, I am preaching revivals, I'm going hither and yonder, and the only symptom that I felt, and I thought it was because of fatigue, was that I would tire very easily.
Okay.
And so I didn't know at that time I may have been having some heart attacks. But what I'm grateful for is the fact that it wasn't preceded with a stroke.
Right.
That's what I'm grateful for. But
Wow.
that's my experience. And I say this not to deter anybody, but that second opinion is looking a little bit stronger to me now than ever before.
Well, and look, and we so thankful that God has spared you, Pastor Nicholson. But let me just add to what he's saying is that sometimes they can just get missed. If you go to the emergency department, this is what I always tell people. I'm not a doctor, but I got common sense.
Right, right.
You go to the emergency department And those doctors are seeing 1,000 patients. They're tired. They don't work long hours. They look through all that stuff. Now, come on now. You know that there's some things that may not be seen that they don't test for and everything that can happen. Now, I ain't trying to do this say doctors are not great in what they're doing, but they're human.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're human and go through
But
it. It looked like it was good you had that accident. Seemed like to
oh
me.
yeah, oh yeah,
So,
and I'm still here to talk about it.
right. That's it. See, sometimes we don't realize that something we think bad may turn to be a good thing for us.
It is. It
Okay.
is.
Yo,
I've been
Pastor Nixon, we'll come back around once we log off.
sure.
But I want to get a chance. We got another question. Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah.
We'll come back and we log off. We got another question for Brother Clarence. They're asking that what has been your experience? You talked a lot about the prostate and everything else. So what has been how has been your experience with your doctor and everything? I think we're trying to get to is what kind of test stuff you've been having. You started talking about that index finger and stuff.
Mhm.
I guess they're trying to figure out what type of test and stuff you have. I think it's a nice way of them asking in a nice way what kind of test.
Okay, the only test that I have had, oops, no, I'm not muted.
Yeah, you still here? Yeah.
We can hear you.
We
You
can
hear
hear
me?
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have a digital exam. They said just my annual PSAs, and from time to time, I actually had to tell the doctor that make sure that you run this to make sure that to make sure it gets done, because sometimes they just wouldn't do it because okay, so I'm 75 now, so that means that if they're following standard protocol, when I turned 70, it wasn't something that was going to be done on a routine basis.
Well, I think you answered where they were coming from. They were wondering was the thing. So see y'all, he's evidence that you can keep on doing your test with your PSA level. That's what they try to get to. Because when you did the number thing, you alarmed some men that were listening and watching. So
temperature regulating bed sheets crafted from silver infused.
hey, that's part of the course though, right?
Yes, it is.
If it, look, another question for Pastor Mulroney. I guess it's just a comment. They really were blessed about you being so genuine and open. I guess they figure we pastors must be just hard or whatnot, huh? Hey, we human too, right?
Yeah, we human. We human.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you, preachers and pastors, we're not immune to pain or problems. It happens to us. Our families like it happens to everybody else's family.
Wow. You've really helped some people tonight, Pastor Mulroney. Just the genuineness of stuff what I'm seeing back. And the other thing about it, there's others who will be watching this, in the weeks and months to come. So just a blessing and everything. And I just want to ask this personally. I think it's a wonderful thing you and your wife I'm on the outside looking in, but you always struck me as a very loving couple. And I know the love that each of you have for each other was also helping this process as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, she ain't going nowhere now. We 45 years in. So when she packing, I'm packing too. So where she pack, I'm
Going to the same place, wherever it
we're
is.
going the same place. So you get mad, you go upstairs, I come downstairs. We'll be over with it by night. That helped. That strengthened the whole relationship. It does. It really does.
Okay. All right. Duke, any other? Pastor Montgomery, I think I can answer this. They want to know, can they have the pilot where they are? Well, look, just keep watching keep watching our video, our webinars and stuff, and get involved with our Hope Health Ministry. Get your training done.
I'm just asking, where are they located? You know, Dr. Minor?
I think this is in the Midwest somewhere, but
Okay. It's not open yet to everyone, but we hope and pray that after this pilot they do extend it, and so please be in touch with your regional coordinator, and we'll go from there.
I'll make sure to do that. All right, and wow. Well, Pastor Mulroney, they said you should write a book. I thought you already wrote a book about this.
I am. I am. Began. I'm going to work one for this because um, many times, we talk about people that we've lost. When we talk now, we talk just as though he's still here. You said, well, he said, how many sons? I said, I have two. I have one here on earth and one in heaven. So so we don't just not talk about him. You got to communicate him. He's just as important now as it was when he was living. So,
Wow.
and so that is a problem. I need to get out of this what I'm in right now in school. Then I go back to that.
Okay, that's right. We're gonna get doctorate. Look,
Yeah,
all right. I know we've run over
I'm getting too
tonight.
old to do all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. We've run over tonight. Look, for our own in-person part. Look, we thank you all. This wraps up our Q&A section. I'm gonna bring it up, and then for those who are on Zoom, we'll stay on a few more minutes. But again, we thank our panelists, Pastor Montgomery, Pastor Moraney, and Brother Campbell. I want to make sure that you stay in tune and in touch with how much your Hope Health Ministry. Our next webinar is going to be Tuesday, August 5th. We're going to talk about National Immunization Awareness Month, National Breastfeeding Month, National Minority Donor Awareness Day. That is going to be August 1st, and we'll do that before we get started, so make sure you look out for that. Now, you may join us on the web and social media. HopeNBC.com is our website. You can go to our Facebook page, which is National Baptist Convention USA Incorporated Hope Health Initiative. We're on YouTube. And if you'd like to know more about what we're doing, or like to get something about training in person or self-paced, you can email info@hopenbc.com, or you can call 901-603-0762, 901-603-0762. Now, look, we'd appreciate your feedback. Would you kindly complete our webinar survey? We paste the link in the chat, and we do it on our Facebook page as well. We appreciate the tireless work of our awesome NBCUSA Hope team, yours truly, Michael O'Miner, Dr. Desi Levy, Sister Lottie Miner, Sister Nettie Johnson, Pastor Dexter Moraney, Sister Ellen McKnight Hill, Dr. Felisa Washington, Minister Geraldine Moore, Sister Loretta Henderson Miller, Dr. Lavora Williams, Sister Bettina Campbell, Dr. Marion Talley, and of course, our very awesome technology media guru, host, moderator, Brother Thomas Duke Robinson. Our 7 awesome regional coordinators in the Northeast, Pastor Daniel Blackburn. Southeast, Sister Brooklyn Rogers. In the Southwest 1, Pastor Bernard Montgomery. Southwest 2, Dr. Linda Copper. Midwest, Sister Teresa Fales Farr, or as I may call her, Teresa. And the West, Sister Farr Robinson. And the Far West, Pastor Richmond Johnson. And of course, to connect your regional coordinator, email info@hopenbc.com. We know that some of you have additional questions or comments that are on us with Zoom, so we'll formally close this evening's webinar in just a moment. And for those watching on Zoom, we'll open the mics for additional feedback. Don't forget to join us next month in Montgomery, Alabama. All roads lead to Montgomery, Alabama. We'll see you on Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, for our next TempleCare Matters webinar. Finally, we acknowledge our president, Dr. Boise Kimber. He reminds us that we are changing the course, not our convention. The gospel still works. This has been a production of the National Baptist Convention, USA Incorporated, the nation's most collaborative religious denomination. God bless you, and God keep you is our prayer.